Welcome to the Seed Creative Podcast, the podcast where we discuss both video production and just life in general. The goal of this podcast is the same as the goal of our business, to make a difference in people's lives. Hello and welcome to the Seed Creative Podcast. I'm George Edmondson. To my left,
I am Nick Golden.
And we're sitting in our brand new, but
Podcast
not brand
studio.
new podcast studio.
Yeah, is that what we're calling it?
I guess it's our podcast room. And this is one of those things where we had a podcast about this several weeks ago where we were like, we're just going to kind of take it slow. And
then we threw it all together in like 2 days.
We did, but it's definitely different from how we originally imagined it, but it works.
But it's also it's like we made it more simple, but it worked as well.
It works the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what the cameras see looks good. What we see looks absolutely terrible, but...
Oh, it looks pretty good. So I'm going to take, as we go, I'm even going to do it during here. I'm going to take some supporting photos so you can see. This is what we see, just in case you're curious.
And if you're a video listener, you can see.
Yeah, so what we see for audio people is 3 cameras pointed right at us. Isn't that crazy? But then there's like cords coming down. It kind of looks like if you've ever seen Star Trek, it looks like the Borg like are plugged they're like plugged into the wall. Anyway,
there are like lines coming out of the ceiling.
So anyway, we're going to describe all this and I will have supporting images. So for the video people, and I will explain best I can for the audio people, but let's talk about how we managed to do this on a super cheap budget, sort of, with existing stuff, because it's crazy how we just kind of like threw this all together.
This is one of those things where it's like out of necessity. What's the term? It's like when something is just born out of necessity or whatever, we just have to do it. And then we start thinking creatively and we're like, we do have all those foam panels that are just sitting in the back, and we were going to buy like new, nicer ones and all this, but we were like, we could make those work. And then we put them up and we're like, it doesn't look bad and it sounds pretty good in here.
And it looks even better. Like it looks like not the most impressive in person, but on camera, I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah,
so
it works. And then we were like, well, we've got these extra Klar lights instead of buying new aperture, like really nice fancy LEDs. We're like, we've got these Klars that are just sitting in boxes and they have Bowens mounts, so we could pop the dome on there, and we could hide the ballasts that make horrible noise. And
it's okay. Let's talk about that for a second.
Okay,
it's like the worst noise. Like I don't know how anybody can actually use these on a shoot.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
The fans are really, really loud. It's like a dual ballast controller system. It's not the best, but you know what? We have light on our face. They're pretty good CRI.
Yeah.
And they were ridiculously cheap, and they were just sitting. So we were like, we could make those work. And then we're like, well, actually, it doesn't look that bad. But then we're like, well, we need to definitely separate the room a bit better, especially because we've got these noisy fan ballasts things. So Gavin and I ran down to Home Depot and found the cheapest moving blankets we could find, and then just like run them up to be like dividers. And I can't hear anything. Can you?
No, it's incredible.
It's
and then
quiet.
we use the same. We didn't even buy a new carpet yet. We just use the same carpet out there, which we're going to. But well, maybe, I don't know. We tend to say we'll do it, and then all of a sudden, do we really need to sit out there?
That's how I run how I run my life.
So anyway,
I'm going to talk about this actually. So this is actually something that we have touched on, and because we've talked about basically everything. We're just like making stuff up at this point.
Yeah.
But so I'm the kind of person that once I get something, I'm going to use it until it completely falls apart,
and then continue to use the ashes,
the pieces of it. Yeah. That proves that I'm a very, very loyal person in that regard. So I want to show you all something, and this is mostly, for video people that can really understand what's going on here, but this is my wallet. And this wallet is it's a brown leather wallet.
Looks like George Costanza's wallet.
I want you to take a look in the center there, like how that's looking. Like, how is that like?
You want me to give you a wallet review?
No, don't give me a
Oh my
wallet
gosh.
review.
Oh, does this open?
Yeah, that's got stuff in it. So
jeez.
anyway, so this is a man's wallet right here. It's leather and brown and
Time out. Is your social security card in here?
yeah,
Dude, that's a horrible idea.
I've got extras.
No, you don't.
I've got copies of stuff somewhere. I've got digital copies. It's fine.
George.
It's all good. It'll be all right. So that's what I say. It'll be all right. All right. So anyway, Christy, my wife, bought me this wallet. Guess how old I was?
18.
I think I was 16.
Dang.
Actually. So I've had this wallet for literally 20 years. I have never owned another wallet. Once I had this one, and I will have this wallet until I die.
This is your first ever wallet?
That's my first real wallet.
I don't think it's gonna make it till you die. I think it's gonna fall. I think it's gonna split down the middle. You're gonna put
No,
keep
I'll
it
still
in two
have
pieces?
it. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I'll still have it.
Oh,
I might
okay.
not use it anymore, but I'm gonna use it until it completely. And I mean, as of right now, it's 20 years old, and it still fully holds everything I need it to hold. So we just use stuff when we have it. Like, we use it if it works.
We shot
So-
on VHS yesterday. No, I'm just kidding.
So let's also segue into the fact that the snake that we're using was given to me because it was perceived as garbage by the person that gave it to me, and it is a old blue. So if you don't know what a snake is, basically XLR cables are the cables that are running out of the microphones. A snake is this big box full of where you can plug XLRs in to the box, and then it's a one cord that's really long. I think this is like 100-foot snake.
It's super long.
And then on the back side, it branches back out, and it has all of the corresponding cables that go to that mic. So if I plug my microphone into channel 1 on the box here, on the back side, you've got another little cable is channel 1, and that's where you can plug in, and that's how we record.
It's for cable maintenance, essentially.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to have... It's for running concerts, basically.
Yeah,
It's so,
yeah.
you know, you have... The whole band can go into this one thing rather than being 100 cables or however many.
all over the
30
place, yeah.
That go all the way across.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's what it's for. This thing it's blue, and I'm pretty sure it's from the early 80s. That's how old it is, and that's what we're using. And I was like, you know, I even had a friend of mine, Andy Green, shout out, and he was like, man, they make them where they're like real small, and it just goes through like a single like fiber optic cable and all this stuff, and you know, it's real tiny and all this stuff. And he was talking about that, and I think he even said that it would actually run through one cord, period.
It does.
And then it will split digitally, like in your DAW. But I was like, but why would I do that? We have this snake. Like, it's ugly, it's hideous, it's a little bit old school, it's, you know, but you know what? It works. So why would I do that? I don't care if it, I mean, this is hideous. It looks real ugly, but I don't care.
I like the snake.
I do like the snake. It has character, but I don't care. Like, who cares? I don't care if it's ugly, if it works.
And now we've hidden it even more. So
Yeah,
now
it's hidden
like,
even more, but it's still pretty nasty looking. Especially in the sound booth where it splits apart, it looks like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, it is kind of creepy. It looks like the Borg.
Is that what we're talking about today? I didn't even know what the podcast is going to be about today.
Oh yeah, we're talking about the podcast.
Oh,
studio.
the podcast studio. Okay, cool.
I thought I told you. I did tell you.
I'm on the same page now, dude. I just got back from a Tanny Hill. Oh, that's something else we got to talk about. But I just got back from a Tanny Hill field trip.
Wait, how do you say it? It's
okay.
Tannehill.
Here we go.
Is this what we're talking about?
It is.
Is this what you're going to say? Or this is something we have to
Tanny Hill.
It's not Tannehill?
So I asked the guy that works there.
Okay.
And he said he and everyone else that works there says Tanny Hill.
Well,
And he said most people that live in that area say Tanny Hill. And he said a lot of people that are not from around here say Tannehill.
well,
But Christy says Tannehill.
Well-
And she yells at me all the time for saying Tanny Hill.
being a person that defends the pronunciation as Appalachian instead of Appalachian or Appalachian for the mountain range, I think I have to defer to their judgment because the people near the Appalachian Mountains that go to the Appalachian State University call it Appalachian. So
we would guess that the people that say Tanny Hill are correct.
yes, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, thank you.
I know.
Yeah, I thought you were going to fight me on it.
Well, but you say that Chrissy's wrong,
I think it's Tanny Hill because that's what everyone says.
but she says Tannehill.
She says Tannehill, and she's like, well, I'm local. I was born at DCH.
Man. Dang, Chrissy's not wrong very often, but I think she's wrong.
Hardly ever wrong. But so what I think it is I think, yes, it probably was Tannehill in the 1800s. But the way you pronounce things changes over time. Words change over time. It's Tanny Hill now. And so I'm just saying.
Now, do I like the sound of Tannehill better? Yeah.
I don't really care, honestly. Like, at the end of the day, I don't care if it's Tannehill or Tanny Hill or Tane Hill or does it
Tane Hill.
Tane Hill. Come on down to Tane Hill.
Also, we have a Utah, Alabama. It's spelled E-U-T-A-W.
E-U-T-A-W, and it's Utah. I remember when I was younger, someone was like, oh, they're in Utah. And I was like, they're in Utah? And they're like, yeah. And not acting like, it's not a big deal. And I'm like, well, why would they go to Utah? And they're like, why wouldn't they? And it was this whole long, until they're like, Utah's like 40 minutes away. And I was like,
what?
Wait, what? That they explained Utah, Alabama.
So what'd you do at Tannehill?
Walked around and learned about pig iron, ironically.
Oh, yeah?
Learned a lot about the things that we're going to be talking about in our new documentary about Sloss Furnace. This is with JSU and APT. Speaking of documentaries, we actually won an Emmy.
That's crazy.
And Christy's at home.
And pronounces Tannehill incorrect.
Right.
Tanny Hill incorrectly.
Correct.
Yeah.
Incorrect. Correct. Yeah. Anyway.
No way to mention Tannehill. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to get to the point where every episode is just us listing things that we're supposed to talk
about. And that's the whole episode. That's actually pretty funny.
Anyway, with all of this as a tangent.
Yeah.
The podcast studio.
You know what I love? What? I love that we don't have to be like side by side and I'm not having to turn my head.
I know. I'm just looking at you casually.
My neck feels a lot better now.
I know.
It's great. Let's also talk about this if you're watching the video. So we've got these beautiful Christmas tree here. I was not here whenever Nick and Nicholas were doing this in the center, but I'm willing to bet that Nicholas was the one that was like, we need something in the middle to break it up. We need some color. Was he the one that noticed that?
He was the one that said something. I was like looking and it was bothering me, and before I had a chance to say anything, he had said it and was already
so
looking
he
for
put
the
action behind it. So he's the one that deserves the shout out.
Yes, but I picked the candle.
Okay. I was the candle guy.
I was candle.
I was like, oh, I know that he was like looking at the composition, was like, yeah, that middle, there's something needs to happen. We don't know what we're gonna do with the middle. I think it might be fun to have something different on it every podcast.
We were almost we joked about it, and then I was like, that actually might be cool. The iMac.
Like iMac. Like if we did a Zoom call, I don't know.
No, I mean the old iMac.
Oh. Well, that's what I'm saying. If we just do something different every week.
I know. You never expect it. Next week, the table's going to be backwards.
So. We'll put Gavin on the table. He'll just sit Indian style. He'll just sit Indian style and look at us. That's actually pretty funny.
That's really funny.
But yeah, I like this table. So yeah,
this table costs $100.
This table costs $99.
$99. Incredible table. Exactly
incredible
what we need.
Yeah.
Except for the feet are kind of bothering me, but that's okay.
Yeah, I just keep my feet like tucked under.
I'm over it,
and I'm good. Oh yeah, because you're taller than me.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, we had talked about having a custom table built, and we had designs and everything, and the guy was going to build it, and I knew he was going to do an incredible job, and rightfully so. He had a price that he needed to stay with, and it was worth every bit of what he needed for that table. But again, me being me, I was like, I just can't justify that yet.
Yeah.
I just can't. And so we put that on hold, and who knows, maybe it's still an option in the future, but for now, sticking with our $99 table.
It's pretty sick.
It works.
Yeah.
It works great.
Yeah. I mean, I don't,
it's
a
an
third
inverted,
person can even sit here?
Yeah, it's an inverted, so it's an L-shaped, table, like a pretty standard way to do a desk. And we're just sitting on the back side of it, so it's shaped like a V. And yeah, we can have stuff here in the middle, or we could have another third person sit here if we wanted, and
yeah,
it would work.
So let's talk about the nitty gritty stuff that is going to require pictures, because I think that's the most awesome part. Because like all of this is like, it's good, but it's not like special. But I think how we're controlling this is pretty awesome.
Okay.
And now I do wish that Nicholas had a microphone, but it's okay.
I told you.
I know. I
should have done it.
I know.
Should have done it.
So we have 3 cameras, as usual. And
All varying brands.
That's true. We have 3 different brands, but we matched them pretty well.
White balance it, and we're good to go.
We actually didn't. They're already set, and they looked.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. It's this. Well, it's the same light,
It's also because the room is white.
and it's the same light, and so the color is gonna match.
Anyway, so we have cables that run from this room, SDI and HDMI cables from this room over the ceiling, like on top of our our like what are they called? Not ballasts. Joists. Through the joists diagonally through 2 rooms over to our sound booth. That's like our small
It's
VO
like a
room.
like a vocal booth.
It's kind of being merged into like a small editing room, also like that kind of thing.
Control room. Yep.
Where the Atomos, the Sumo is sitting in there. All of it's running into and recording from there. Why did we do this?
Well, we did this because once again, I want to make things as a fit. Well, first of all, we did it because it's cool, because it works.
It is cool.
But we always want to be as efficient and optimized as we possibly can be. So we know that if we're shooting a podcast back here, we've got a door that's going to go on this room. Then we have some space, and then there's another set of doors. So that right there alleviates a lot of the issue when it comes to sound recording in here, where if someone is out in the main kind of studio talking, working, whatever, it's fine. It's not making enough noise to make a difference back here.
Right.
And then the other thing is if someone is in that where Nicholas is right now, mixing the audio, recording the video feeds, all that, they can have that door shut. It's as if no one is even here at the studio.
Yeah.
It's really like no one's even here, but we're getting work done, and then there's still a meeting can be happening in there.
We could have a shoot on the cycle.
We could even have a shoot. Yeah. I mean, we wouldn't want to be in there like blasting music or anything, but like we could be in there talking and like getting work done and stuff like that. And again, I think that this is going to make people feel a lot more comfortable whenever we are ramping up the service of video podcast. Someone sitting in here just talking, they're not having eyes on them. We're not out there working on our computers. It's very much like separated and isolated.
Right.
And I think that they're going to be more comfortable because like you and I, it feels like it's just us, but we know that Nicholas is actually looking and listening at everything we say.
And way more people can, even though that room is small, like we can have a bunch of people crowd around and watch if we need to.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Eventually, and actually maybe that's what the 50-foot HDMI cord was for. Actually, no, it's not long enough.
HDMI to the TV.
Yeah, we're gonna loop a TV,
we could try it.
What's
50
the word?
feet might, yeah.
I don't know.
HDMI loop out.
We're looping it out to a TV way far away in the studio that's like a sitting space for people to watch if they want to. So it's like everything is tethered together so you can be anywhere and be working on it. Basically, the idea is separate the people to make them feel less stressed. I mean, the cameras are pretty intimidating for people that aren't used to it. I mean,
yeah.
When we're talking, I forget they're even here.
Yeah, I know, because I'm just looking at you the whole time.
But like that is the point. So with that said, the snake that we talked about is also running up, over, and through.
And we're using it as a loop back for audio.
Yeah, and then the audio is coming back through the snake.
Yeah, so we've got our audio out going through the snake into the room, and then we're using we kind of inverted the way a snake is supposed to work, but then we have one of the XLRs tethered into an adapter that goes to an 1/8 inch, so it's a headphone out now, and then we've got the inverted version of that XLR to 1/8 inch on this side, and that's how we're getting our audio back.
I'm sure there's one thing we could have bought for like $80 that would have done this, but why do that?
We didn't have to buy. We didn't have to buy anything except for the desk and a couple more SDIs
and a couple. These are new. These
those XLRs.
These are the short little XLRs that are built to stay on this.
Okay,
desk.
so in order to create this, what we had to purchase new intentionally was the desk, a couple XLRs, a couple SDIs, and these $8 a piece. They're $8 a piece moving blankets. So
yeah.
less
Nailed
than
it.
$300.
Yeah. And now we have a whole podcast.
And we have a
studio.
podcast studio for less than $300 that we invested just purely into the podcast studio because we already owned all this other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and eventually the dream is have cameras that stay in here, like if they got big, and that's the dream. But this works. Like,
yeah, we talked about that. So portions, the way that we would allocate funds is portions of the profits of the podcast studio itself would be allocated to purchasing new upgrades for the podcast studio.
Yeah.
So if we do more, continue to get more, we see that there's a need, and then we say, okay, now we're going to take this money and we're going to buy dedicated cameras, even if they're dedicated cheap, like Blackmagic 4Ks or something, that will just stay in here. Because you got to think about this. You also then have to buy lenses for each of those cameras that stay in here. Like little things like that people don't think about, like really starts to add up.
Yep.
So that's why you be super just careful with it. And you do it like this until it can grow. Bro, like at the skate park I ran, we were like getting wood donated to us and just chopping off the bad stuff and using portions that work. You know what I mean? Like you have to be creative if you want to get something done and not just like go all out. Because again, we don't take loans out here at Seed Creative, so it's all cash. So we just do it the way that we think it needs to be done and just move slowly. But then you own it all, and it's like not a big deal. And Capital One doesn't own it.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is Seed Creative owned by Capital One. Anyway, the other thing that is great about this that I'm super excited about is the thing that is the most annoying for me personally is like, we come in to do a podcast and there's so much setup. Like there is so much crap. And now it's literally going to be roll the Sumo into the room, plug it in, bring the cameras in, set them down.
That's it.
Start recording.
Yeah.
That's it.
So set your cameras up. Yeah, because I think one of the things that took the longest was running the cables.
Yeah, they take forever.
The cable management. But now it's set. So it's like you just walk in here, you plug it in, and you're done. Like, that's it. You're finished.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's super exciting. And I think people will love that, especially because now we can turn them out even faster. And this room is like, we're at the beginning stages of like, we want to throw something back here. Like, there's a lot of potential there. So it being so efficient is like really exciting. Like, I cannot stress that enough.
Optimize.
Off the power's better in here too. The power options are better because look,
efficiency, optimization. Yep. Like that's how we want to do it. We'll do a terrible job.
We'll do a horrible job.
We'll do a really bad job.
Are you excited for our grand opening? By the time this is out, our grand opening
Christy is freaking out.
Like demonstrate. Like she like shaking, or is she like, oh my gosh, we got to do this and this and this? Like
a little of both.
Really?
Well, yeah, and I mean, she's gonna be so mad at me, but she doesn't listen to these anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's right.
She is very much like, either she wants to do something the best it can be, or don't do it at all. And obviously, based on our podcast studio, that's not how I roll. I say I would rather do something than nothing. And both ways of doing things in life are right.
Right.
It's just who you are as a person and how you tackle those, and like what is your end goal. Like, so anyway, not to get like too intense here, but she's like, if we're going to do it, let's do it the best we can possibly do it. And I think that that's a wise way to live. I do. But again, we wouldn't have a podcast studio if we were going to do that. We wouldn't have a podcast studio for a few years because we would have said, well, the best we can do is dedicated cameras. And you know what I mean? Like we could do that. So anyway,
what is she like?
It's just like a thing, like she, wants people to, basically she wants to make sure that people have a really like enjoyable experience. And she doesn't want someone to walk in and say, what is this? Y'all have like freaking bagel bites for like finger foods, like you've got Tostita pizza rolls and like hand me down like off-brand Pepsi or something. You know what I mean? Like you've got styrofoam plates. Like she doesn't want that to be the vibe, but she also doesn't want to go all out because then if you go all out, what if not a lot of people show up? And then you're like, oh, this is really embarrassing because we were like, thought it was going to be this big thing and then 10 people show up, you know?
Yeah.
With me, I'm like, babe, if 10 people show up, that's fine. That's great. I don't care. Like, it's not that big of a deal the way I look at it. I'm like, it's this Friday. Of course, by the time you see this, it's already happened. But it's from 3 to 6. We do a ribbon cutting at 3, and then it's just an open house, come and go from 3 to 6.
Free Lusa Brews.
Free Lusa Brews for the first 40 people. I did get that, actually.
I should tell my friends that because I talked to people into coming based off of that.
It's going to be fine. Yeah,
Okay.
It'll be fine. I'll open a tab up over there if we get like a bunch of people. So it's not a big deal. But like, yeah, she just wants it to, again, she just wants people to have a good time. And, look, I'm just going to be real transparent. The way I look at this, bro, this is networking and sales. That's how I'm looking at it.
It's also for the BTS video we're going to put
Well, sure,
together.
BTS, but we're inviting people that are clients of Seed Creative that might have not done a video in quite a while. And when you do things like this, you show them, hey, we're still here, we're still making stuff. And so many times when I see someone out, that reminds them, oh, yeah, I need to talk to you about a video.
Exactly.
And there you go. And you've used it now as a sales opportunity as well, and retention of current clients.
It's the Michael Scott thing where he made all those pancakes for people.
Oh, yeah?
Worked really well.
Yeah.
He got his first client that way. You're talking about when he made the Michael Scott Paper Company.
Yeah.
But hopefully better than that.
Yeah, but then they go to the people and they're like, crunch the numbers. And he's like, crunch. And
That's enough.
the bigger you get, the more you're going to lose. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to be on a variable priced.
A variable priced model. Yeah.
But yeah, I totally agree with the networking thing. I mean, essentially, we do this podcast because of that. Because we've gotten tons of people that like will do a video and they're like, oh yeah, I remembered because I saw your podcast. And I was like, oh yeah, we were going to do a safety video with you guys. It's happened plenty of times.
People, I've seen people have said, like, I'm starting to binge the Seed Creative podcast. And look, dude, we know, especially the first several episodes, we're trying to find our groove. We're still trying to find our groove. But there are so many things, like, I have to keep reminding myself. Every time we do this, let's make this clear too. Every time we do the Seed Creative podcast, that's advertising cost. Because look, I'm paying myself. You're getting paid. Nicholas is getting paid. Gavin's getting paid. We're all getting paid to make content for Seed Creative and not for anyone else. So I look at that as advertising. But there are videos that we've done 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that someone sees for the first time 2 or 3 years after it was made, and then they contact us. I saw this video. I heard this podcast that you did 9 months ago, whatever. So I know that this stuff lives forever.
It's not a direct profit, but it definitely is a profit.
No, dude,
it's
exactly. It will be worth it in the long run, and that's why we've continued doing it, because we have not seen immediate results. We have started to see some results because we've been doing it for a while, but we didn't see something immediate. It wasn't like we did one podcast and someone was like, "Oh my God, we want to give you $1 million." You know, but
it was
like
500,000. No, I'm just kidding.
Right, but it's just a slow process. It's the same way we do everything here. Like, we don't make super hasty decisions. We said we're going to get into this podcast stuff and we're just going to do it for the long haul, and we're just going to do it slowly, and it's going to work for us. And plus it's just fun. Yeah. Like I said earlier, I really enjoy doing this because so often we get so hung up in so many projects. I don't even know how many we have going on right now. It's freaking...
Who knows?
Adam.
Yeah.
He's like, well, Adam does. He's got a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
But it gets to where, like, it's a little overwhelming. Not that it's unmanageable. It is manageable, but it can feel overwhelming where you're like, bro, like, all these people are waiting. Or they're actually not usually waiting. But they're counting on us to deliver.
We don't want to make them wait.
No, yeah. We had a client tell us yesterday, hey, I mean, you know, we're like really ahead of schedule on this project. Just so y'all know, like, we're not used to working with people who are this basically this efficient. And we were like, really? Because we feel like we're behind schedule, you know? But anyway, that's another story.
I'm trying to, I don't know what client it is. I'm just trying to guess. To be, you tell me later. But
What's the documentary?
Okay, that's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we're ahead, which is a good thing. Like they weren't mad about it, but they were like, y'all are like way ahead of where we normally are in the process. And they were like, we normally don't start doing this stuff till May, and we were doing it in March. You see what I'm saying? So
it's because most people,
dude, we're optimized. We're
also
efficient.
just most people just don't do stuff the way that we as people in general do stuff, which is they just wait so long to do things.
Yeah.
It's very annoying to me as a person.
I want to make sure that we always, I want to note that I don't want this, I'm just going off on a rant right now, but I don't want people that watch or listen to this podcast to think that the reason that we kind of talk ourselves up so much is to just make a bunch of Seed Creative commercials. Even though that's
just a nice benefit.
It can feel that way. And I mean, it's not intentional, but I guess the reason why we talk about these things and the way we do it is because honestly, like I'm just really proud of what we've been able to accomplish so far. I'm really proud of the work ethic of everyone within Seed Creative. I'm really proud of the processes that we've all worked together to make and refine. And if I was doing something a certain way and someone comes along and they're like, hey, you should try this, I'm like, oh yeah, that's way better. Let's do it that way. And then vice versa. Like if I'm doing something that you thought, well, I didn't really do it that way, but yeah, that's actually works really well. And so we've all kind of refined these processes together. So we talk about them because we're proud of them. You talk about what you're proud of. I talk about my kids to people because I'm proud of my kids. I talk about Seed Creative because I'm proud of what we've been able to do. So I guess I just wanted to, like, it's not like I don't want people to think like Seed Creative podcast, 90% of it is bragging on Seed Creative. I think it's more, I want to shine light on the way that we think, the processes that we do. And if it can inspire you as a business person, as a human being, as a creator, whatever, then we hope that you get something positive out of it.
I mean, take this studio as an example. Like, just go back to the first podcast. It looks totally different. We evolved over time, and we're not there yet. I'm sure 20 episodes, I don't know, from now, it'll look totally different because we'll figure something else out.
Yeah, this won't probably look the same in 20 episodes.
Yeah, it'll look worse. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean, I think that is the perfect example, and that's a great way to wrap it up, honestly. Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing that people don't realize is like 90% of what we do out there, and I'm pointing towards the
studio
where we edit, is like not tearing up our work, but tearing up our work. Like we're like, oh, we need to change this and this and this and this. So you're just like, this is the end results commentary section, not the how we like go through 50 edits or 50 versions of every video we make or whatever. Because so we're proud of the end result because we tore it apart until we got here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep. All right, I feel good about this podcast. Thank you for checking it out. If you have any questions, we'd love to talk to you. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to book a podcast with us, we'd love to do it.
Should they email me or info?
Email you, bro.
Email nick@yourseedmedia.com.
Remove me out of as many equations as possible.
Okay, so I own Seed Creative now. So
you can CC me, but if you're serious about maybe doing some podcast stuff, that's your guy.
What's up?
I'm pointing at Nick.
I'm pointing at Nick
at yourseedmedia.com. Let's also talk about this real quick. Total other change of topic. I know our company is called Seed Creative.
This is my biggest, there's nothing we can do about it.
I hate it.
I hate it so much. Why did it was just originally like this?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
We used to be called Seed Digital Media, and seeddigitalmedia.com was taken and all that. And I was like an idiot. And it was 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
And it was one of those recommended things. And it was yourseedmedia.com.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that works. So I bought it, and now we're stuck with it because we've got pretty freaking strong SEO. But we can't buy seedcreative.com because the guy that owns it just is an alias that goes to his website.
We
have reached out to this guy.
He
for years.
He might not be alive. Like,
we don't
honestly.
know.
We
like,
actually
we don't know because we've even looked at like social media accounts and they've all been just like not active for a long time, and we think maybe he bought that to be an alias for like 10 years or something. So anyway, I know it's weird. Our name is Seed Creative, but our website is yourseedmedia.com.
If you have any information on how to get seedcreative.com, like email us 50 times each, because we want
I'll buy
this.
it. I'll buy it from the dude, even if it has to be an alias to Your Seed Media, since that's where our SEO is.
Well, yeah, that's what it would be. But that's okay, because getting seedcreative.com would be incredible.
I would love it.
I wish we had a slightly bigger fan base, or I would say start a war.
Oh, yeah. It'd be like our moms.
All right,
okay,
Mom.
now we're going to go.
Okay, bye.
See ya.
This podcast was produced by Nick Golden with executive producer George Edmondson, edited by Nick Golden and Gavin Manning. Be sure to subscribe, drop a like and a comment. Tune in every Monday for brand new podcast content, and we'll see you on the next one.